Welcome to my channel. I'm Ombarus, and if you know me, you're probably wondering, what the hell am I doing reviewing a video game? Well, I'm an indie developer, and I love indie games, and the company that makes this game, Star Souls, is a very small team of 3 developers that asked me by email if I'd be interested in reviewing their game. And when I had a look at it, I was a little bit surprised to see that it's actually a space exploration roguelike, very similar in art and style to my own game that I'm developing right now. So I figured, well, maybe I should check it out, from a purely professional standpoint, of course. Now, I do want to say that I did get this game for free from the developers to review it, so this is probably the closest this channel has ever been to a sponsored video, so I want to make sure this is clear and that no one is confused about anything. That said, my initial expectation of the game, I don't know how to quite put it, but I wasn't expecting much. But after I started playing the game for a couple of hours, I realized that actually this game has a lot of work put into it. There's incredibly a lot of random events, and the way you move through system from system, encounter random stuff and, have random battles and all that, it has definitely a big FTL vibe. And that's not a bad thing, actually, because I really loved FTL. And I can't say that it's any less or more developed than FTL itself, actually. There's a lot of random events, and I haven't seen the same event twice, so that helps to keep things fresh and makes the game really enjoyable to play. When you don't know what's happening and you look at the trailers and see the combat, it looks a little bit funny with all the stuff flying around and the ships moving kind of randomly, it seems. But actually, when you start playing it and you understand what everything means on the screen, you realize there's actually quite a lot of strategy involved with dodging around moving asteroids, trying to hide behind structures to avoid damage from long-range ships while you're taking down the short-range, more damage-dealing ships and more fast-moving ships, for example, and the way you position your own ships to try to prevent the enemy ships from running away to have a chance to recharge their shields and all that, and how you have to move your ship back and forth to alternate which ships is taking damage so you can conserve your shields and all that. There's actually quite a lot of strategy, and I liked the gameplay during the combat. Also, one of the nice things is that it's a real-time game, but just like FTL, you can always pause the game to give commands and move orders so that you never feel rushed to do anything and you never feel like you've missed something because you couldn't keep track of everything in the screen at the same time. So that's a really nice way of doing real-time game combat, I think. As far as I could tell, there's also quite a huge variety of items and games and upgrades you can do for your ships, and there's a lot of choice of ships. So when you get to a shop, there's always a whole selection of upgrades and stuff you can buy. Actually, if I have to say, there's maybe a little bit too much at the beginning. I really didn't know what would be good upgrades or not. But at the same time, it's a roguelike, so the whole idea is that you're gonna play it multiple times. So at the beginning, you just try random stuff until you figure out something that seems to work better, and then you keep doing this and try to improve your strategies. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, that's for the good part. There's a few issues with this, and the biggest one is definitely the English translation. Now, it feels a little bit ironic because I'm a French Canadian, so my first language is French, and I'm not a native English speaker, and I'm making English YouTube videos, so, maybe I'm not the best person to criticize English. But there's really some dialogues that I couldn't even understand because the English was so bad, and there's some really funny grammars going on sometimes.
We present and warrant that we have discovered a new kind of life. It is impossible to make a contact with it. It cannot be detected. No, well, seriously.
But I think this is something that it might not be so hard for them to fix, especially if they get a little bit of money from selling the game and they can hire maybe a native English speaker to fix the dialogues in their game. So hopefully this will be addressed in the future, making the game much more enjoyable, because I really do think there's a nice background story to the whole thing, but it's a little bit difficult to enjoy right now in the current state of the English. And then there's the part where this is just my own opinion, but I think the user interface is a little bit lacking. Sometimes it's really hard for me to compare different weapons. I mean, there's like a weapon that does 13 laser damage every 3 seconds, and then there's another weapon that does 2 impact damage every 0.7 second. Like, I wish they would give me some kind of DPS or something so that I don't have to do it in my own head. And then there's some stuff like the status icon. I mean, the fire icon I understand, but there's some other icon I really don't have any idea what they mean, and I keep having to go back into the menus to the tutorial to figure out what they are saying. And then I really wish I could, for example, select multiple ship at the same time so they can all target the enemy ship all at the same time instead of having to go through each one of them one by one. Moving the ship sometimes feels a little bit awkward. It's kind of hard to know if you're going where you're planning to go, and you can't see the path that your ship is gonna take until after you unpause the game. So there's a couple of different things like that that makes it a little bit awkward at time. But since you can pause at any time, none of these are gonna really destroy the gameplay. Like, you're not gonna make a bad mistake while you're playing the game because you fumble the controls, because you can pause and you can make sure that everything is happening properly while you're playing. So I didn't find it really a deal breaker. That it's a little bit annoying when you're playing. But you know, I'm a developer, I'm a programmer, these kind of things are maybe affecting me more than the average person, so take it with a grain of salt. Now, as a conclusion, if you're the kind of person who liked FTL, who likes space game, and especially if you like indie, underground, small team game with original gameplay, then I think Star Souls is really not bad. I hope this review is going to be useful to you guys, and I thank you for watching, and come back next week where we're probably going to go back finally into some more game development and software engineering. And until then, bye!